and welcome back to this week's episode of Survive the Hunt. Things may look a little bit different. They're definitely going to sound a little bit different, but I'm your host, Billy Hoffman, and missing this week is Jacob Hacker. But, you know, it's a good week to have Jake gone because that allowed me to get one of my good friends in the outdoors industry back on the show. Well, for the first time on this show, but back on the show with me, Mike Slinkard of HECS. What is going on out there on the West Coast, my man?
Hey, Billy, how are you? Good. Thanks for having me.
You know, we were talking a little bit before we started recording, and man, you've already. I'm sitting here. I'm all angst up. As we record this, it's getting close. You know, it's the end of August or the beginning of August, mid-August, whatever you want to say. But I'm still a long ways away from aiming a projectile at an animal, and you've already been, you know, out there having some great hunts and some great success. So
Yeah.
give us the quick Cliff Notes version of what you've been up to in the outdoors, and then we'll get into all the other stuff.
Okay. Yeah. No, being a West Coast guy, one of the really cool things about that is we have a lot of different variety to hunt, but also we start early. So I actually drew an antelope tag in Nevada and in Idaho this year. So a week ago Sunday, I shot a real nice buck in Nevada. Came in about 40 yards and give us the shot and all that kind of stuff. You'll see that on the show coming up next year. And then actually day after tomorrow, I'm actually leaving for my Idaho hunt. So we're going to be setting in another sweat box and waiting for something to come water. So.
Now, are these both bow hunts, rifle hunts? What are you out there chasing?
Yeah, bow hunt. I bow hunt exclusively. So yeah, it's other than predators. I still enjoy taking the rifle out for coyotes or whatever. But for big game, it's for me. Ever since 1996 was the last time I actually shot a big game animal with a rifle. So pretty diehard bow hunter, I guess.
Amen. You know, it's funny I say that I'm a month or so away from shooting stuff. Meanwhile, I'm looking at a mounted goose right here in my wall. Like, oh yeah, dummy, September 1st, I get to go goose hunting. But
yeah. Well, September we're going to be all about bugling bulls. So we live here in the eastern part of Oregon. So yeah, actually we've got some real good stuff just about 30 minutes from the office here.
Yeah, you are a blessed man because I know. You've got to be over 30 or so elk in your career at this point, something like that, right?
Actually, 45.
45. Okay.
I started naming my elk kind of after the presidents, and so last year I actually got to take Mr. Trump. So I guess this year I'll have to start with Trump Jr. or some
right,
make believe president list, I guess. But no, it's been fun. Elk are my passion, and growing up here where I did we're rural where we're at, and I mean literally in the wintertime we'll have elk in town here. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a neat place to live, and I've been really blessed to be able to take 45 elk with a bow. So
wow, that's incredible. I this week actually I posted the pictures on our social media with Survive the Hunt. I actually was up in northern Michigan and got in on a couple shooter elk, a couple nice bulls and a bunch of cows. You know, in here it's a you're winning the lottery to draw an elk. And I've been applying. We'll see. I'm 40 this year. I've been applying since I was 13. So
wow.
And it's just a lottery, and it is what it is. And every year, a bunch of guys that applied for the very first time get tags, and I don't hold that against them. Go kill your elk. Congratulations, you get one tag in your life. So get your tag and get the hell out of my way. So, but
that's how we are for bighorn sheep out here. I drew a sheep tag in '96. Actually, that is the last animal that I've ever taken with a rifle. And the downside of that was I could have taken him with my bow and didn't think I could get close enough, and ended up shooting him with a gun. And it was a great animal, but it was honestly the last thing I ever took with a rifle because it would have meant so much more if I had taken with a bow. And that's just me. That's not anything negative or anything else. That's just me. And so, but that's how we are with sheep. It's a once in a lifetime tag. You draw it once and you're done. So
yeah, man, those desert bighorns, man, that's like chasing the dragon right there. I was in Vegas. I do stand-up comedy as a profession, right? So I was out in Vegas. I was doing a bunch of shows at the Golden Nugget, and I'm not really into Vegas, per se.
Right.
But when I get booked in Vegas and it's the same week as SHOT Show, I guess I'll go.
Hey, ain't that bad, huh?
Right? So it's the same week as SHOT Show, so that worked out pretty good for me. But I was looking for something to do, and for those of you that get stuck in Vegas at a convention or whatnot, 25 minutes outside of Vegas is this place called Red Rock Canyon, and
Yep.
it is incredible. It's a county park or state wildlife natural area. I'm not sure who funds it or owns it, but it was awesome. Went on a
Oh
hike,
yeah.
and there I am, right dead nuts after about, I don't know, 400 yards up the trail, dead nuts 25 yards away from a quad group of desert
Oh
bighorn.
yeah. Yeah.
And my wife was with me, and we weren't being quiet. We didn't have our HECS on. We weren't paying attention to scent or nothing like that. And I'm trying to explain to her how big of a deal this is, and she's like, "These things are dumb. Like, why is this so tough?" I was like, "Honey, these are park these are park rams."
Yeah, they're there to look at, and so and they know that too. They know they're safe there. But yeah, you go out in the wild places where they actually hunt them, and sheep they're a challenge. Well, just where they live is
right. Getting to them,
really big challenge. But yeah, they're interesting. One of the first things I learned about bighorn sheep was if they can see you and you're not too close to them, they're actually pretty comfortable with you. It's when you go out of sight that they get nervous. So first time I was when I was scouting, I found a really big ram, and actually he came out of the creek below me about maybe 30 yards out and stopped, and him and another one ran all the way up, and they actually laid down and where they could see me. And this was like the day before season. And so I tried to sneak back out. And as soon as I went out of sight, I looked up and they were going over the highest peak I could see as hard as they could run. So they're a weird critter. They really are, but they're a lot of fun.
That's incredible. All right. So first of all, I could just talk hunting with you all day, just like, like we do at ATA or whatnot, but we are here to actually do some entertaining as well. And, but also what I want to tell people is the reason I have Mike on the show is I know some of our audience is going to be skeptical, but I am a huge fan of him. I'm a huge fan of his company. I am a person who has spent my own hard-earned money to test out his products. I'm a huge believer. We'll get more into that. What is HECS? There's the big question, right? So Mike, give us the quick rundown. Let's pretend now most of our audience is hunters, right? But a lot of our audiences also come from the survival category. So because Jake is a professional survival instructor, I bring the outdoorsman type stuff. So we do have a mixed audience. So for someone that's not familiar with you or with HECS, give us the rundown of what your product and company does.
Okay, sure. So basically HECS that is an acronym for Human Energy Concealment Systems. And what we're all about is actually blocking the electrical fields that our bodies create. And it's something that for a lot of people is kind of a new idea, I guess. But honestly, the science has been around for quite a few years now. And even since we launched in 2010, it's really came on to where science is starting to really understand what of the natural occurring electrical fields that come out of any living being, really what they're about and how they affect everything else around them. So basically, in a nutshell, our bodies create an extreme low frequency electrical field that is actually measurable. Heart rate and muscle movement are the biggest producers of that. Generally speaking, the bigger the muscle, the more electrical field it's creating. So if you understand how all living beings work, we're all electrical beings. So it takes electrical charges to actually move our muscles. They create an electromagnetic field that travels outside our body. Generally speaking, the bigger the muscle, the more they create, with the exception of the heart. The heart's a really little muscle that creates a lot of electrical energy. And anybody that's ever been to the hospital and had an EKG or anything like that, that's exactly what they're measuring. So with HECS, for me, it kind of goes back to, living, here where I live. I came from a background of cattle ranchers. My grandpa and my uncle were both old-time cattle ranchers, and they would always say, be calm. That my grandpa was a horse guy, and he'd always say, that horse knows what you're thinking, whether you know it or not. And so, and all that stuff kind of stuck with me when I was younger. And when I became a hunter, especially a bow hunter, you know, when you get in close to an animal, it's not very long, and you're going to watch their body language change, and they're going to get a little more alert. They're going to know something's not quite right, and generally speaking, they're going to move off, or, you know, sometimes they run off. But even when you got the wind right and all that, there are times when they just know you're there. As a, you know, whitetail hunters know this. You know, the deer don't generally walk around looking up in every tree, but they'll look up at you in the tree. So what we found is that, you know, that electrical field that's actually created by all living beings is something that a lot of animals instinctually pick up on, and they use that not only for navigation, which was very well studied, but also for, you know, to tell when they're near another living being and whether they need to be paying attention or not. So what our technology does, it actually blocks that. In the fabric, it's actually a grid of electrically conductive carbon yarn. It's very specific in the grid pattern of the conductivity, and it'll stop that energy that's coming out. Basically, it blocks it, holds it in capacitance. When you touch ground, it grounds out. So that's a whole bunch in a really short amount of time, but basically that's what we do. We block the electrical fields from coming out of our body, and that makes you much more like an inanimate object when you get close to animals. Birds see it visually, so it's huge with birds. I mean,
Yep.
Turkeys and waterfowl particularly. You know, they actually see those fields visually. So if you've got a movement that has an electrical field attached to it, that bird immediately knows that it's something that's living, and they got to pay attention to it or run from it or shy from it or whatever. Take that away, you can now get away with movement. I mean, anybody that's watched our TV show or watched any of our stuff on YouTube will see us shooting turkeys out on, you know, wide open, out on a chair. We don't use blinds or anything, and doing it with a bow and arrow and getting the full draw is just not a problem. So, you know, it's a like I said, a new technology for a lot of people, but it really does work, and it's very effective. And like I said, we've been around for 10 years and are growing every year. So,
Yeah, guys, and so you know, we always hear that, oh, the deer had a sixth sense, or a sixth sense, you know, and I guess hell, this might be it, you know, the ability to perceive electrical fields. Sometimes, you know, I always explain to people is like, you ever get the hair raises on the back of your neck, and you just feel off, or you just know something, or like you feel like someone's watching you. I don't know if that's electrical, and I don't know. I don't,
it is.
right?
It is.
Yeah, but if you're wearing a HECS suit, you don't give the animal the ability to have that sense. And I've seen it firsthand, and I haven't actually. We talked a little bit at ATA, and I was like, oh, I got to get you back on the show because I got to tell you my HECS story, because I've got two really good ones. So, and I guess we'll just hop into that. But don't let me forget, I do want to get back into what you guys are doing outside of the hunting realm, because I think that's really interesting too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my first HECS story is the last time we talked, I said, oh man, I cannot wait to shoot a turkey at less than 10 yards with my bow, wearing a HECS suit. And you're like, oh yeah, you'll get it done. You're good. You know, you've known me for a while. You're like, you're a good turkey hunter. That shouldn't be a problem. You know, at the HECS suit, what you're already doing. And well, I got to tell you what, it didn't happen for me this year. And the reason it happened is I was so busy guiding people that it was happening for. So, so in the first one will be my 11-year-old daughter with her 27-pound compound, 8 yards away, full strut gobbler, all riled up and pissy. We're both decked out in HECS. Oh my gosh. Now I feel like my daughter felt, she's like, that's a lot closer than we've been practicing. And I was like, well, you know, I was like, well, I didn't tell her to shoot, because I was like, let's see how close this joker's going to get. But oh man, so that was her first turkey.
Nice,
and,
nice.
Oh my God, just to take that picture and put it on not just on social, but to send it out to the family and everything, and then to see an 11-year-old kid getting it done with a bow, you know, a bow, and
nice.
I mean, let's call it what it is. It was a pretty easy hunt. That was a roost to roast type situation. But there is no, I mean, she was shaky, you know, that she was shaky. Oh yeah. So she gets half drawn and can't get it the way and lets down. And then you can hear me. Now I videoed it, but it's not necessarily like broadcast quality or nothing like that. But you can hear me say on the video, it's okay, take a breath.
Yep.
Pull back again, and she pulls back and she gets it locked in. And I'm over her shoulder, and you can see her wibbling. That turkey should be alive today. I can tell you that right now, right? That there is no way in everything that is normal without HECS that turkey is not out having a ball today in a cornfield. But I can tell you what, that turkey never paid two craps of attention to us from 8 yards away. And I had another experience I'm going to tell you about with a deer earlier, but that was really, oh, come on. 2 people, that's 2 bodies, right? That's 2 sets of electrical, that's 2 hearts beating. Mine's beating just as fast as hers is.
I'll bet, probably faster.
Probably. Mine's surgically repaired, so I know it's tip-top right now, right? So, but, oh, my God, what an awesome thing. And I really do have to, thank you, thanks to your company for putting out such a cool product that allowed me, I'm just going to call it what it is, man. That's probably the greatest memory I have with my daughter.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're like me, those are way more important than the ones that you did by yourself. That's for sure. My daughter's a little bit older now, but she shot her first turkey was actually in Florida with an Osceola, same kind of thing. And we called this bird in, and he comes out, and he actually ends up being the number 2 bird ever taken by a woman. Just a monster turkey. That was her first one. So just like you, I would rather, share that kind of an experience and not ever shoot an arrow than I would to shoot something myself. It's just, the memories are much more intense.
I was thinking that I had her bird hung, that's mine, but hers bigger than that. So.
Is it? No, it's a good one, man. Yeah. Well, the cool thing is, that's any turkey hunter is going to tell you that's impossible. You can't do it. But we see it all the time, and we get, literally thousands of emails and pictures and stories just like that. We get them every year, and I never get tired of them. It's just so neat to see people using our technology and actually being able to be more successful in the field and have those kind of memories, especially when they're young ones. That's even more special.
Yeah, the turkey footage is just nuts. And you guys are partnered with everyone, knock on John Dudley. He finally got it done from a stool with no blind this year.
Finally, holy cow! I've been on John for years. See, John actually had some of our first original prototype HECS gear way back in 2009 before we were even on the market. And I've known John for 25 years, I guess, and he was one of those guys that I know is going to give me honest opinion, honest feedback. And he actually has been using it for years and years. He was under contracts with other companies. He really couldn't talk about it until, in the last couple of years. But,
right.
Once he got out from under that, I said, John, you got to do this. And to be honest with you, he's a HECS believer. He really is. But I think that was just a little more than he could believe. And I shamed him into it. And I'd be dang if he didn't kill a giant bird without a blind or anything, just like he told him he could. So anyway, that was cool.
Yeah, just you don't need a blind to turkey hunt.
Absolutely.
HECS is the perfect solution for a run and gun turkey hunter.
Yep.
And whether you're using a bow or honestly, wearing one of these suits and chasing a jellyhead with a shotgun, it might just be ridiculously fun.
I had shoulder surgery this year, so I couldn't pull a bow during turkey season. So I shot my first turkey with a shotgun this year, but I wanted to do something a little different. So I thought, you know what, this year I'm going to put on an orange vest, and I'm going to hunt turkeys sitting in an orange vest out on a chair. And the very first time out, I had some hens come in. I didn't get a gobbler, but I didn't get busted. The next time out, it got the tom to come in, committed to the decoy, comes in. I'm sitting in a bright orange vest on video. I think it's on YouTube. And, I just leaving my shotgun down on the lap, just pick it up and boom, that's it, So anyway, it's a lot of fun. It really is. And, but I'm back to archery shape now, thank God.
Yeah, right. I've shot quite a few turkeys with a shotgun. I don't know. Sometimes I just think the good Lord put turkeys on this earth to be hit with a face full of pellets. I don't know. I'm torn every year. I'm like, I'm gonna take the bow. and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take a shotgun. Just yeah. But so I guess you could say my daughter's a better bow hunting turkey hunter than I am. But it might have had something to do with the guy. Who knows?
It probably had something to do with it for sure.
Yeah, and I had quite a few other clients that I know bought suits after. I just everyone says like, oh, what's the one thing that made the biggest difference in hunting? And for me, I think, me personally, when it comes to things that can smell, for me it was just eliminating the human scent. As much as possible, and learning to play the wind. That was the one. And then for birds, thank God turkeys can't smell. But for birds, it's not a decoy. It's not the calling. It's not. There is some scouting, obviously. But for me, the number one thing that's made me a more successful turkey hunter, and I think will make others more successful, is a HECS suit. I think it's the number one thing. Buy yourself a call, get yourself a weapon, get yourself a HECS suit. Don't spend a ton of money on other crap because you don't need it. Hell, go use your orange vest. Apparently, Mike says.
Well, I didn't know if that was going to work or not, but I had to do it when the hens come by me. I thought, all right, we're all right, because I actually moved and waved my hands at them at like 10 yards, and they're just kind of feet on by. And I'm like, all right, well then this is probably going to work. So
in your opinion, when you do things like that, what do you think they think you are? Just a branch that moves, or just something not alive?
Yeah. So, they still can see, so you're not invisible. So what I do, I like to have some back cover. So, although we have done it setting out without any back cover, you're going to be more successful if they can't pick out your silhouette quite as easy. But, I'm convinced now that color's not a big deal at all. And that's going to be a shocker to turkey guys, because most turkey guys say, oh, they can see color. I'm totally convinced that that's not the most important piece. It's that electrical field. When you can take that away, I don't think it matters what kind of color you're in. Like I said, if they can pick out your outline, or like if you're walking across the field or something like that, although they're not going to be as jumpy, but they're still going to be able to see you. They're not invisible. But that movement that happens in those kind of situations, where you're sitting and you're hunting, I think they just think it's like a branch blowing in the wind or something. Because if you think about it, branches and that kind of thing do not have an electrical field, and there's movement in their environment all the time that doesn't freak them out, but only living movement does. So, like I said, with turkeys, I'm convinced of that. But honestly, we see some crazy stuff with all kinds of animals, deer, elk, you name it. It makes a difference with all of them. It really does.
Yeah. So real quick, my other HECS story was this fall. I wasn't wearing the suit that I have on here on video. I was wearing the base layers, and I think that's an underplayed thing that maybe people don't realize. Like, your base layers are really nice. Obviously, they have the HECS in them. They are warm, but not overly warm. But they're moisture wicking. Even if it didn't have HECS, it's still a good base layer. I think maybe you set out to do that, which makes sense, so people don't have to choose between having a good base layer versus having HECS. But I like wearing the base layer when it's cold, because it's a layer I'm already going to have on anyway, right? So it's a deer hunt, and I am sitting in this funnel, and it's probably 16 yards wide. Wind is perfect, and there's crunchy snow on the ground. And I didn't have a tree stand set up for this spot, and because the way that the land works. So I said, this looks like a good sitting stump, So I am sitting on a stump. Now, I did have a backdrop and everything, but I'm sitting on a tree stump, just kind of chilling. And here comes this doe, and it was a yearling doe. I could tell just because she was pretty small. Daggone it, if that thing didn't walk up to me and lick my boot.
Is that right?
Yeah. No, I never moved. Now, to be honest, to be fair, I never moved, right? I didn't make any certain jerky movements. I had zero desire to shoot this doe. Had a shotgun across my lap. Well, actually, I think it was a muzzleloader, but whatever. But so I had a gun across my lap, and I'm just sitting back, just kind of chilling. And how close is this thing gonna get? And it's coming, and it's coming, and again, it's not head bobbing, It's not even really doing that thing where they stick their tongue in their nose to check the wind. It doesn't think I'm anything. It gets up to me. It licks my boots. Now, I had there's a company out of Michigan that makes like a deodorant stick that smells like deer. God, Lord, I should ever call And
Oh
so
yeah.
I had put some on my boots, just to ever calm. Basically, it smells like deer dander. It's supposed to calm them down.
Hmm.
Definitely didn't spook this doe, but she came
Yeah.
in, she like licked my boot. I mean, tongue out of her mouth, licking my boot, and then she just walks away, and I just went, "That's a HECS moment." Right there. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
that was just too cool. So I've seen it on deer firsthand. I've seen it on turkey firsthand. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to see it on geese firsthand. But
Yep.
it's what I think is really neat, and where a lot of people may have be somewhat familiar with you if they're not into hunting, is you guys are big time players in like the out, or I won't say outdoors, but like National Geographic scene with like
Hmm.
Forrest Galante. You guys had a show.
Yep.
I know Forrest. If you guys have seen the Forrest Galante episode where he's on the Joe Rogan podcast, they talk quite a bit about
Right.
HECS.
Yep.
So what do you guys have going on in that realm?
Yeah, so that's the kind of cool part, starting out as a hunter and being in the hunting industry, that was always our focus, but we realized that HECS has a lot of other applications outside of hunting. So, yeah, what you mentioned with Forrest Galante, his show's called Extinct or Alive on Animal Planet. It's like the number
That's
one
right,
show on
Animal
Animal
Planet,
Planet.
Animal Planet. Yep.
And what they go all around the world looking for animals that are presumed to be extinct, and they've actually found 3 or 4 species that were actually that way, and one of them being the Tasmanian leopard, I believe is what it was. But anyway, they use HECS to actually get that footage of that thing that they thought was extinct. But it's really cool to see our technology, going these other directions. Also in the aquatic realm, Shark Week just got over here a couple weeks ago, and if anybody that watched that saw the HECS logo all over Shark Week.
Right.
We do wetsuits and that kind of thing. So it works underwater or out of the water, and it's super exciting to see all that. The stuff. And HECS Wildlife is actually a full line that we have, and actually there's some cool new stuff coming out, both in the hunting and the wildlife line that I'm not going to tell you a lot about, but I want everybody to stay tuned about. But anybody who wants to have a better experience with animals, they want to get closer, whether they're a photographer. A lot of bird watchers and bird photographers are really after us, and using a lot of HECS. But anybody who wants a better, safer kind of interaction with animals, HECS is going to help you with that. We even have veterinarians that are using it in the clinics now that because it's keeping the animals calmer in the vet clinic. So it's really going a lot of different directions. And like I said, we've been on Nat Geo, Discovery a lot, Animal Planet a lot. We actually even there was a show on History Channel called Face the Beast that was out last year that they were using HECS to actually approach saltwater crocs that were like man killer saltwater crocs, and it had a whole history into it. But no, it's cool. I mean, we're popping up everywhere, and as we go forward, it's just more and more places, and that this technology actually is playing a part. So yeah, it's pretty fun for us.
Yeah, it's incredible. And guys, if you're a hunter, an outdoorsman, I don't care if you're a bird watcher. I don't think you'd be watching this channel, but who knows? I really do 100% back Mike and his product with HECS. As you know, here on Survive the Hunt, we have no sponsors. We don't get paid to talk, great about anything. We will talk bad about stuff if we think it's bad. I'm telling you right now, the dude on this episode is legit. The company has helped me already in the outdoors, just being successful. And again, I think it's super important to have if you're a big game hunter, and I think you should not be hunting turkeys without it. I think it's like, besides next to your weapon, that's the thing you should buy. I really do. So for those people that are like, all right, sweet, Hoffman said it's good to go. He knows more than Dudley, because a lot of people say that, yeah. But sometimes people see big celebrities talking about stuff, and they figure, oh yeah, big celebrity budget. I'm not that guy, right? So for guys like me, where's the best place for them to pick up a HECS suit?
Best place is on our website, and it's HECSLLC.com, and it's spelled HECSLLC.com. And there you go, HECS right there. Or you just Google HECS, will pop right up as well. But that's the best place. And actually, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a tidbit too. If you use there's a code HECSTECH, HECSTECH. Use that, and you guys will get a discount too. So yeah, it's a good best place to do it. We've got everything in stock and shipping out all the time. So
HECSTECH, they use that as a discount code.
Exactly, HECSTECH. Yep.
Nice.
There you go.
See, I really appreciate
that. There you go. I'll throw you a bone.
no, that's good. And guys, you guys heard that little tease. He kind of slipped it in there a little bit. You know, he said there's new stuff coming on both aspects of everything they do for a company. So make sure you guys are checking back with them, with their website. Also, they're a great follow on social media. They post a lot of good hunting stuff, a lot of good videos. It's not just all infomercial stuff. It's just a quality American company, and these guys are outdoorsmen. We talked at the top of the show about Mike and going on all his hunting trips, and we can all hate him and be jealous for that we don't live on the West Coast. But you know, I got the Great Lakes, so I spent the weekend on the Great Lakes. So it's a trade. It's a trade, right? So
sure.
You know, it is what it is. But Mike, is there anything that maybe I didn't ask about, or a story you want to share, or anything else that maybe I just forget? Just doing some general housekeeping here.
I think we hit most of everything. If, you know, obviously, if anybody has any questions, go on the website. You know, if you're a hunter, go on the HECS Hunting. HECS LLC is going to bring you to a landing page, and then you can go to wherever your interest is. So if you're a hunter, you're going to want to click on HECS Hunting. If you're a wildlife enthusiast or a photographer or birdwatch or anything like that, then you're going to want to go to HECS Wildlife. HECS Aquatic, we're actually revamping that product line right now too. And so right now it's a little bit further out on HECS Aquatic stuff, but it'll be out certainly by 2021. And we do have some real exciting stuff coming. Like I said, I'm not gonna tell a whole lot about it yet, but you know, mid-September, we're going to see some pretty cool stuff, and we've got some plans to really expand the product line as we go forward into 2021 too. So, yeah, we're growing very, very quickly, and yeah, I think people will be excited to see what we got coming.
Excellent. So what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead, and for those of you that are watching this the video on YouTube, you can scroll right down there. There's going to be a link to their website. Right, there's going to be a link to their YouTube channel, and then also I'm going to go ahead and put that HECSTECH in there just as a reminder for your discount code for y'all. And those of you listening on the podcast, you guys can just go ahead right to the info section of this podcast, and it'll all be right there. Well, man, I wish you luck on your upcoming hunts.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's that time of year again. We'll be. Yeah, I mean, it's for me, you know, usually middle of August till pretty much December, I guess. We're booked as much as we can be anymore. Anyway, that's the beauty of having your own company. I guess you got to go play around and call it work.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's like when I'm booking shows. Like I said, I try to book Vegas for SHOT Show, right? And then I always book a weekend in Indianapolis doing comedy. During ATA or Louisville, wherever it's at, you know, and then I always make sure that I have my days open so I can go to the shows, and then I also make sure that I have the Badlands Film Festival off that night, because I love going to the film festival. So it's like those are my three things. Other than that, have jokes, have comedy, we'll travel, but those weekends are set in stone aside from, you know, deer camp and whatnot. But all right, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. You heard it here though. Go out, get yourself a HECS suit. You're gonna spend money on hunting stuff. It might as well be hunting stuff that's going to actually help you have life-changing, memorable experiences in the field. I think HECS is the company to do that for you. So, and Mike was good enough to give you guys a discount code, so it's now or never. Thanks a lot, and we will see you guys next week.
Thanks, Billy.